There we go. All right. All right. Hello. This is Christopher Lauer with the Brushfire Mind. We are in front of the Assembly Hall in Conyers, Georgia. Larry Cox, and we're about to have a little conversation about his ongoing campaign and upcoming election. We just got out of the Board of Commissioners meeting. That happens every Tuesday at 10. And like I've been telling you and telling you and telling you, politics is local. Y'all can pitch a temper tantrum about Barack Obama or Donald Trump or whoever you want to, and absolutely go vote in the big elections. But y'all, we got to get up off our butts. Fill the seats at your Board of Commissioners meetings. Fill the seats at your Board of Education meetings. You got to be involved and understand what's happening around you in your local community. Today we talked about the millage rate in the Board of Commissioners meeting. You'll hear me talk about that a little more on the show later. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Larry and just ask you to kind of talk about the campaign, how it's going, and what your primary platforms are.
Thanks, Chris. We had this hearing today, and it was the millage rate hearing first, then we went into the regular BOC meeting. And as usual, when our commission addressed the millage rate, they failed to say one thing. They failed to say the words tax increase. And what our BOC wants to say to the people is, we are keeping the rate the same thing it's been since 2015. What they don't want to say is, we may be keeping the rate the same, but you're going to pay more taxes than you did the previous year. Actually, by not accepting the rollback, and what the state does each year, the state says, okay, we will set the millage rate at this. If you, I think it was 18.36 or 18.39. If you would set the millage rate at this, you will collect the exact same amount of taxes that you did the previous year. Thus, they call it a millage back rollback, when in fact, property values increased, so we need to charge less of a millage rate to collect the same amount of money. But the BOC refuses to use the word tax increase. Well, I found it amusing today. They have been refusing to say that they have borrowed money from funds balance to balance the budget. This is the first time in the 3 years that this group has been together, or 2 years, that they've actually acknowledged they borrow money up front to balance the budget. But now they say the reason they want to take they refer to it today as the increased property asset value instead of calling it a tax increase. That's what I told them today. One of my favorite shows growing up was Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers had a word game. Can you say? And I asked them today, can you say tax increase? Because it is actually in the English vocabulary, and I hope they would be able to say that. But true to form today, the BOC did not take the millage back rollback. They left it at 20.19, and with the property values being reassessed, Rockdale County is looking at a $4.5 million property tax increase over the next year.
Okay, let me add a couple things there. You mentioned their reference to the fund balance. Right, which is essentially a savings account. You mentioned borrowing from it, which is in fact what they're doing, because it's not their money to spend, it's our money to spend. Now they are elected to make that decision. I did not hear the word borrow used in reference to that. I heard them say that that we spend the money. It doesn't sound to me like the commissioners understand or believe that what they're doing in that case is in fact borrowing money that needs to be paid back. And then one more thing I'd like to tag real quick. You're talking about taxes being increased, and the reference to the millage rate being set at a certain level to guarantee that the same amount of revenue is collected. And instead they went with the 20.19% that has been in place since 2015. Y'all, this is kind of like when at the national level the Congress talks about cutting taxes, when what they really did is they reduced the amount by which they reduced the amount by which a budget item will be increased. They did not reduce the amount of the budget item. They reduced the amount by which it would be increased. It's still getting increased. That price is still going up. And they refer to that as a tax cut or a budget cut, depending on the context. And I think that is similarly dishonest to what we saw in here today. And one last thing that really just rubbed me the wrong way. It seems to me like the way that went in there is they said, well, here's what we're going to do on the millage rate. Does everybody agree? Yes, we agree. Okay, now that we've already taken an action and your input is no longer relevant because we've already made a decision and taken an action here in front of you. Well, now we'll hear public comments. And I thought, well, that's just about as fast actors as you can go. You're going to have public comments. Those should be a part of the conversation prior to the board taking an action.
You know, Chris, you mentioned public comment. And one of the things that I'm running on my platform is to introduce a free speech amendment for Rockdale County. And, you know, I've been asked, well, Larry, why do we need free speech? They let us speak at the Board of Commissioners, and they're the king. They let us speak at the Board of Commissioners. The way that the process works right now, people, is that we are not guaranteed the opportunity to have open comment. We actually get to speak at the will of the BOC. It is not a guaranteed right. The Board of Commission can take away open comment at any time, and there's nothing that we as citizens can do about it. So what I want to do as a member of the BOC, one of the first things that I'll do is ask that we change the Rockdale County Charter, that we have a free speech amendment that will require the BOC to set aside time for citizen comment. And I think that comment should be at the beginning and at the end of the session, not just at the end, because we have an agenda that is published ahead of time. There may be items that the public wants to speak on the agenda that are going to be voted on. The public needs to have an opportunity to clear voice their opinion on certain things. I'll be honest with you, kids. I believe in the freedom of speech. I don't care if someone gets up there and sings "Old MacDonald Had a Farm," as long because that's their right to their free speech. You know, in 3 minutes, I don't think 3 minutes is an adequate time period. I would like to see a 5-minute time limit instead of 3 minutes. Let's just say if we're going to have a 3 and a 5, then we can have 3 at the beginning, 5 at the end. But the people need an opportunity to voice themselves. Let's just take today, I spoke about 1400 Parker Road, and I spoke about it being one of the most valuable assets that Rockdale County has.
Yeah.
And I talked about Steve Jobs and him being fired from Apple Computer and was gone for 12 years. And during that time, those that ran Apple Computer took one of the most valuable assets, and that's the computer's operating software, and they licensed it, and they were allowing other computer manufacturers to use it. So this impacted Apple and Macintosh drastically financially, and they were in dire straits until they brought Steve Jobs back to work in 1997. First thing Steve Jobs did was say, "This is our most valuable asset. It needs to be with Apple and Macintosh." He took it back. They went back to the road of financial recovery. I today ask the BOC to do the same thing and to take back one of our most valuable assets, and that's 1400 Parker Road.
Now let me just pump that up a little bit. Larry is making the case that Steve Jobs managed the business well, and that we should manage the business of this county similar to that management style. And just to really reiterate that, Apple was struggling through the 90s over some poor management decisions after they fired Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs came back, he cleaned house, he did a lot of great stuff. He made the iPhone happen and the iPad happen. And 3 days ago, 3 days, 4 days, I think it was on Saturday, the announcement was made. Apple has just become, under that exact same tutelage, those same business practices, the first company in history to be valued at $1 trillion. So as business model goes, that's not a bad one.
And actually, the CEO at the time when Mr. Jobs was let go from his own company, Mr. Scully actually admitted later on that his biggest error was not making up for Steve Jobs and not bringing Steve Jobs back into his own company. If I would have done that, Mr. Scully says, Apple would have not went through the times that it did in the early 90s. So, you know, we've got to look, there's sound business practices. And what Steve Jobs recognized was that you don't give away your assets. Steve Jobs didn't go into the boardroom and say, "Hey, those guys at Samsung are awful nice. let's go ahead and give them this iPhone thing we're developing. That didn't happen, folks. Steve Jobs recognized that when you have valuable assets, you need to hold those assets and protect them because they're your future. And 1400 Parker Road is one of Rockdale County's most valuable assets, and it's part of our future. And we could have built a courthouse there. We could have a community college there. And actually, myself and Alex McDonald are coming out with a land development plan where we still are able to use 1400 Parker Road, a piece of it, a large piece of it, and still leave the lease parcel intact for Restoration Storehouse. And you know what? My thing is, if we can't do anything about it, Restoration Storehouse has got like a 10-20 lease. In 10 years, then we say you can do nice doing business with you for free, let you go where you need to do. Let's take this building back, let's take this property back, and let's do something for Rockdale County of value.
Excellent. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up.
Okay?
Catch us on Facebook in a little while with this one, and remember to catch the Brushfire Mind every Sunday evening, 2000. That's 8 o'clock p.m. for the rest of you civilians that only used to have to watch. And I'll see you then. Love you. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chris.